Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Like always, these MCQ reviews before the exam. I have I want to say like 50 to 60 questions. So let's go ahead and get started. Ah, is this the? Hold on, this is the wrong one because I fixed these QR codes. So it should be working now, and it's not. What? Okay. Well, the answer is available to click. So nice. We're 50-50. So the correct answer to this is going to be astrocytes. Okay. Glia are going to be the support cells. Microglia are a type of cell that does phagocytosis. Astrocytes form the blood-brain barrier. Schwann cells are going to form the myelin sheath in the PNS. And ependymal cells are going to secrete CSF. But I don't believe this is included in your exam 3 packet. So just something I refresh. I'll be right back. Okay. There's still like 6 people that haven't clicked in. So like 10 more seconds. Yeah. So the type of neurons that are going to bring information towards the central nervous system. Okay. So it is arriving at the central nervous system. Those are going to be afferent neurons. So afferent neurons bring information towards the central nervous system. So they arrive. Efferent neurons, they are exiting the central nervous system. So efferent exit. They are going to be bringing like motor instructions to muscles and glands. Interneurons are going to like coordinate. So they connect between 2 neurons to help like coordinate signals. So you see them in the eye or in the spinal cord quite a bit. So correct answer to that was afferent neurons. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the correct answer to this one is going to be medulla oblongata. Okay. Your medulla oblongata, we have three important centers. You have your cardiac center, which is going to control heart rate. You have your respiratory center. Respiratory. Man, I have it right on the screen in front of me and I can't spell. Which is going to control breathing. And then does anybody remember what the third one is called? It starts with a V.
Motor.
Vasomotor.
Vasomotor. Okay.
So your vasomotor. Okay, vasomotor is going to control blood pressure. Your cerebrum, that is going to be the largest part of your brain. So that's where you're going to find all your like lobes and whatnot. Your cerebellum, that's going to be the little brain that's underneath your cerebrum. That's going to have like some motor and emotional control. But we don't talk too much about the cerebellum in this class, so don't worry too much about that. The thalamus is going to be a sensory relay center. Okay. So it like directs the sensory signals where to go. So the correct answer to this one, medulla oblongata. Oh, something that I've been telling everybody that's like asked me. When you're going through and doing MCQs, right? Don't just look at the correct answer. Okay? Try to figure out why the other answers are wrong. Okay? Because if you can, like a lot of the time, right? There's only so many MCQs that you can do. Okay. If you are going through and you are not just picking out what the correct answer is, you're studying 4 questions in one. So if I were to say what part of the brain is a sensory relay center, right? I just studied that. I know that one. It's thalamus. Okay. So go through, make sure not only do you know which one the correct answer is, but why the other ones are wrong. That's why I do this annotation while we're going through class. Okay. I don't do it for my benefit. Juanita.
You know how you just wrote out right now what the other ones mean, even though we've been studying them? Are you going to do that for all the questions or just some?
So I'm working on putting together like an answer key to send out to you guys as well, which will have all my rationale. So like if I say anything or like write notes on the screen or whatever, it should be in this answer key document because I've been including rationale because I didn't get through all of the questions with my other sections.
Okay, because 1 and 2, I missed that when we just went through. I wanted to write down what the other ones meant, even though I've been studying them, but I'm trying to keep it in my brain.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I have the rationales written out for 1 and 2 already. So
Okay.
you're good.
Thank you.
Even if you miss it on the slides when I'm typing it right now, I have it. Like obviously you should still write things down in your own words, but if you miss something, I have all the rationales.
And you're going to send that out tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the cranial nerve that's responsible for vision is going to be your optic nerve. Okay, so this is one example of how we can ask cranial nerve questions. Olfactory nerve, right? The olfactory nerve, what is the olfactory nerve responsible for?
Smell.
Smell. What about the oculomotor nerve?
Movement.
Hearing.
Eye movement. So oculo means eye, motor, movement. Okay. The trigeminal nerve isn't on your guys' study sheet this time. So this one is just facial sensation and a couple other things. Like it contributes to chewing and stuff like that. But just to like give you a one word thing. Okay. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah. So the lobe of brain that is primarily responsible for the lobe of the brain that is primarily responsible for vision is going to be the occipital lobe. Okay. What's your frontal lobe involved in? Like the main thing that I was mentioning.
The Sea of Jamaica.
The forehead, the eyes and stuff.
But what's the frontal lobe, like the brain? The frontal
Decision
region. You're right.
making?
Memory.
The decision making, it does have to do with memory, reasoning. I always point out is movement. Okay, motor planning.
Organization.
Yep, all of that, right? So the frontal lobe does a bunch of things, but it is the only lobe that contributes to like, well, not the only one, but like, it's the main one that contributes to motor planning because the cerebellum does have something to do with motor, but parietal lobe, the parietal lobe, sensation. Temporal lobe, hearing. Now, in your packets, I did the packets a little bit differently this time. What I did was I kind of like rephrased things to like have you, rather than just like copying and pasting out of your notes packets. Okay. So there's a section on there that asks you guys. Huh?
Chapter 11 is like 3 other questions. I can't find the answer.
Okay. Just shoot me an email with the ones that you're confused on. But so so there's ones that are like primary somatosensory cortex, primary motor cortex, right? Primary motor cortex is going to be in your frontal lobe because your frontal lobe is doing motor planning. Primary somatosensory cortex, sensation. Somatosensory is talking about sensation. Okay. So I know those were confusing some people, so I just wanted to point those out. Ten more seconds. Nice. We got 100% on that one. That's awesome. So your outermost layer of your meninges is going to be your dura mater. So tough mother, right? That's going to be the outermost layer. Which one of these is your innermost layer?
Pia.
Arachnoid miter.
So the pia mater. The pia mater is going to be the innermost layer. So this is where it's like thin, right? It's like that if you like glue on your hand and then you like let it dry and you like peel it off. So arachnoid mater. Arachnoid mater is going to be your web-like middle layer. And then the alma mater is just where you graduate from. Okay. So ATS will be your guys' alma mater. Alma mater. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so we just talked about this, right? Frontal lobe, motor planning. Okay. I'm not going to write everything out again because we just went through it, but frontal lobe, motor planning. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yep. So primarily responsible for sensation, parietal lobe, right? So sensation is going to be your parietal lobe. Let's do like 15 more seconds because there's a lot of people that haven't answered. Yeah, so the structure most related to memory is actually going to be your limbic system, not your frontal lobe. Okay. Your frontal lobe is involved in memory, but your limbic system is going to be your hippocampus and your amygdala, right? Your hippocampus is going to be the thing that's responsible for memory, whereas your amygdala is excuse me, is responsible for emotion. All right. The frontal lobe is part of memory, but the limbic system is like a system that's devoted to memory. So for the correct answer for this, it's going to be limbic system. Okay. Your basal ganglia, this is going to be involved in motor coordination. So like Parkinson's is a disease affecting your basal ganglia. So you get the shakes and you get the jerky gait and all that. Insula has to do with addiction. I think I spelled that right. I don't know. My spelling's like super messed up today. So are my words, but Juanita?
Real quick to the one we just had before that, you said the limbic system had to do with emotion too, right?
Yeah, so the limbic system has two parts to it. It has your hippocampus, which does memory, and your amygdala, which is going to be doing emotion.
Can you spell that, amygdala, again?
Yeah, I'll type it in chat.
Thank you.
It's diamond. Okay. All right, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so white matter is white because of its high concentration of myelin. Okay, so myelin is really high in fat. It's going to insulate the neuron, make that impulse travel faster. Okay, so myelin. I realized that, sorry, I realized that we didn't define saltatory conduction this semester. So you can just cross saltatory conduction out. What the question is asking is which part of a neuron is responsible for speeding up the nerve impulse. Okay, so you can do that in your packet too. All saltatory conduction is speeding up the nerve impulse. All right, so use that instead. Oh, whoops. Nobody saw that. It's fine. 10 more seconds. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So your myelin sheath is responsible for speeding up nerve impulse conduction. Ah. Okay. Your soma. So I'm going to draw my beautiful little neuron here. Looks like Cynthia from the Rugrats. Okay. Oops. Boom. Okay. So your soma is going to be your cell body. Okay. This is going to be where you find your nucleus. So this is where you'll find your nucleus and protein synthesis occurs. Okay. Dendrites, this is going to be where other nerve signals are received. Okay, so this is where the nerve signals come into. The myelin sheath, I forgot to draw my little myelin sheath here. Use this magenta. Okay, your myelin sheath has these little segments, right? That is going to be what speeds up the nerve impulse conduction. Might as well draw also that. And then the soma is the thing. Your synapse is going to be the connection between the two neurons. Okay. And I know a lot of people wrote down synaptic knobs in the packets. The synaptic knobs are the same thing, basically. Okay. So the synapse is talking about like the connection itself. The synaptic knobs are talking about like the tips of the neuron that connect to another neuron. So the synaptic knobs are part of the synapse, if that makes sense. Okay. Diamond? Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so protein synthesis, we just talked about it, okay? This is going to be occurring in the soma, aka that cell body. Remember, it's going to let me like just copy over my annotation. No. Okay. Somebody has their hand raised, but I can't see who it is. Like, it doesn't show me your name. So if you have a question, you can unmute. Okay. So the axon is going to be that one thing that carries the signal away the soma. Okay. I'm not speaking yet. I'm just waiting for people to click in. I got like 10 more seconds. Somebody sent me a message that they can't hear me, so. All right, so the corpus callosum is going to connect the two hemispheres of the brain together. The rest of these are all white matter tracts, and we did talk about white matter tracts like generally, where they're just like tracts that connect the different areas of the brain. You guys do not need to know like the specific names for these this semester. Okay. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the sensory relay center, the thalamus. Okay. Ventricles are going to be fluid-filled cushions inside of the brain. Meninges, that is going to be that protective outer covering, right? So ventricles, fluid-filled cushions. They're going to be filled with CSF. Meninges is going to be those protective outer covering. And we've already talked about the frontal lobe a couple times, does like motor relay or motor planning, right? Now the thalamus, the reason why it's not your primary somatosensory cortex, okay? Your thalamus is just directing the signal where to go. It's not actually like interpreting the signal, okay? So it's like that 1920s like switchboard operator that I always use the analogy of. The thalamus is just sending things where they need to go. What's actually like interpreting the information is gonna be your parietal lobe in your primary somatosensory cortex. Let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so we just said, right? Cerebrospinal fluid is going to be made in your ventricles. CSF. Water, we talked about in chapter 3. Osmolarity. Water is not great to have inside your body, right? Because it can ruin your cells. Plasma, that's going to be found in your blood. Thoughts, your brain makes thoughts. Let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so cranial nerve number 10, right? Your vagus nerve is going to be heavily involved in your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so this is another example of how we could ask cranial nerve questions. I know that we didn't include 5 or 10 in your study packets this term, but cranial nerve number 1, does anybody remember what number 1 is?
Olfactory.
Olfactory. Okay. What about cranial nerve number 3?
Oculomotor.
Oculomotor. Okay. Cranial nerve number 5, that's going to be your, why am I blanking? Not vagus. Trigeminal nerve. It's going to be your trigeminal nerve. And then cranial nerve number 10 is going to be your vagus nerve. Okay, but like I said, those aren't in the packets. I'm not going to focus on those. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the fight or flight response, okay, that is going to be your sympathetic nervous system. Okay. Your parasympathetic nervous system, that is going to be your rest and digest. Now, the question that I got a lot with the packets, because there's that like section that's like what nervous system is active when this happens. People were asking me, is it the ANS? Technically, yes, but that's why I included it in answer choices. Okay, the autonomic nervous system has subdivisions. So you have the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. Both of these are subdivisions of your ANS. Okay. So that was a point of confusion for everyone, or not everyone, but some people. Your enteric nervous system, what does your enteric nervous system control?
Digestive system.
Digestive system. Okay. Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so your somatic reflexes are going to involve skeletal muscle. Okay. Cardiac and smooth muscle, those two are both going to be found in organs. Okay. And if you remember, organs are going to be under the control of visceral reflexes. Somatic, skeletal muscle, visceral, organs, and glands.
Professor, could you type that in the group? In the chat, what you just said?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Skeletal, somatic. Visceral. Organs and glands. Oh, well, I accidentally sent it to like one person. I didn't even send it to one person. I sent it to staff. Okay. There we go. Should be in chat now.
Thank you.
All right, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so a condition related to the central nervous system is going to be Parkinson's. Okay. Now, sciatica is going to impact the spinal nerve, right? So I did this question to kind of talk about peripheral nervous system versus central nervous system, right? So your sciatic nerve is an example of a spinal nerve. The spinal nerves and the cranial nerves both come out of the central nervous system. They are part of the peripheral nervous system. Parkinson's is going to be impacting the brain, right? So even though there are like nerves downstream involved, the disease itself is happening in your central nervous system. Okay. So sciatica is a spinal nerve disorder, peripheral nerves. Parkinson's, central because it's in the brain. All right. Before we do chapter 12, I want to, so they asked us to go through exam protocols. So, because they were like reviewing the footage, and to be entirely honest, there were some protocols that I wasn't being super adherent to. So, I will be more strict next time. So, don't be mad at me. Okay. Food and drinks. No food and drinks are allowed in the exam room. Do not bring a soda. Do not bring water. Do not bring a bag of Chipotle. Okay. No food and drinks are allowed in the exam room. I'll make you throw it away. Or just put it in that like little kitchen area that you guys have. Don't bring food and drinks. Okay. Personal belongings. Personal belongings were a big problem with me last time. Okay, I kept asking people to put their bags up the wall and nobody wanted to do it. And then I'm running around trying to move the bags and people were getting mad at me for touching their backpacks. Just put your backpack against the wall. Okay, they're not supposed to be next to you. Electronic devices. These cannot be on your person. Okay, so you need to put your electronic devices either in that blue thing or they need to go in your bag. I'm going to literally stand at the door and ask you to put it in the blue thing, in the box, or in the bag. Do not put it in your pocket. Okay? A lot of people were like, yeah, I'll put it in my bag. And then I was walking around and I saw the cell phones in the pocket. Okay? Please don't do that. Don't do it. Calculator usage. We don't use calculators. Don't bring your notes. Punctuality. Make sure you guys are on time. Quiet testing. Making sure we're not talking during the exam. No cheating. Okay? This is something I really want to like emphasize to you guys. Not that anybody was caught cheating. Okay? When you leave the exam room, do not go talk about the exam to your friends, especially like friends in other sections. Okay? And the reason I say this, I was in school. I get it. You want to help your friends out, especially since we don't all take the exam at the same time, right? If you go and talk about your exam to your friends, even if you do not tell them the exact question, right? Like, for example, if there's a question on the diaphragm, right? And you're like, oh, I had a really hard time, but I know it was meant to be the diaphragm and I answered this instead, right? You are telling that person what is on the exam. So if everybody in the class gets that wrong, and so like everyone across the board, right? Everyone in all the sections, we see like a low scoring average on that question. We look at the question and we go, was it worded wrong? Or like maybe there was another answer that was misleading. Or maybe this just like wasn't covered in class clearly, right? So we can give partial credit. If we see that it's like just one section that's getting it wrong, that doesn't show up in our stats, okay? So when you tell people what's on the exam, you are not helping yourself. Nobody is going to return that favor for you. There is no incidence where anybody takes the exam before you, okay? You guys are the first people to take this exam. Well, my other sections are the first people to take the exam, but your guys' group, okay, is the first group to take the exam. So nobody is going to be like telling you what's on the exam in the future. Don't do it. Don't tell them. Okay? If they ask you, just tell them, I don't remember. Honestly, that exam was so difficult. I completely blanked out during it. Okay? Say whatever you got to say. Don't tell them what's on the exam. Don't tell them what you struggled with on the exam. Because really, really, all you're doing is taking away points from yourself. So, that's all I have to say about that. Uniform. Be in uniform. This was a big problem last time. Please, please, please be in uniform. Okay? I got in trouble for a couple of these things. I'm not going to get in trouble again because somebody doesn't want to wear their uniform. Wear your uniform. I'm going to send you home, and that's going to result in failing the class. Okay? Wear the uniform. Don't bring in Sprite. Sprite is not worth me not paying rent. Okay? So please just be familiar with the exam protocols. So that's all I have to say about that. Chapter 12. All right. 10 more seconds. Yeah. So the ear is an example of a sense organ. Okay. The sense organ is like an organ that's devoted to a sense. Okay, so sensory receptors bind with a tissue and that creates a sensory organ. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah. So the type of information not conveyed by sensory receptors is going to be history, right? So type, for example, where's my little typing point? Hot versus cold. Location, for example, where on your body this is happening. Okay. Intensity, difference between being hit and someone brushing an eyelash off your sheet. Okay. Type, location, intensity. History is not conveyed by sensory receptors. Ten more seconds. Nociceptors contain what kind of information? Pain. Okay. Temperature is going to be does anybody remember what kind of receptors convey temperature? Try not to say the answer.
Thermoreceptors.
Thermoreceptors. What about chemicals?
Chemoreceptors.
Chemoreceptors. And then touch. Starts with an M.
Mechanoreceptors.
Mechanoreceptors. Okay. So know your different receptors.
Question. The sensory
Mhm.
receptors, you said it wasn't history, right? What was, I got type, location. What was the other two?
Type, location, intensity.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
So what she just said, the history was the answer, right?
Yeah, that is not conveyed by sensory receptors.
Okay, thank you.
So 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the pain fibers found on deep body organs, those are going to be slow pain fibers. Okay? Slow pain fibers. Fast pain fibers, these ones are going to be the ones found on the body's surface. Okay? Ah! The question did change. So it is a different question. Make sure you read it. Ten more seconds. Yeah, so sharp stabbing pain, fast pain fibers. Okay. Slow pain fibers are going to have a dull aching pain. So a dull aching pain.
Is this a question that you just threw in here? Because it ain't on the paper.
Man, I hate it when it does that. Let me check. It's not one that I just threw in, but like sometimes with the true false ones, it like, where did it go? Is it? Sometimes with the true false ones, for some reason, it doesn't like copy it over. That makes sense. Because like I usually just enter my PowerPoint into ChatGPT and then tell him to like make a MCQ like worksheet out of it, and then I like proofread it, but apparently it didn't include it, but that's okay. So pain originating in a deep organ may be sensed. I don't know. Correct answer is true. Does anybody remember what this is called?
Refer pain.
Referred pain.
Professor, is that going to be on the exam? Should we have that question now?
If it's not in the packet, it's not in the exam. Let me double check.
No, it's not in the packet.
Okay, there you go. Like I said, I use the same questions mostly from semester to semester. I try to take things out, but it's not stuff that you haven't learned. It just might not be in the packet. All right. Oh, only like 1/3 of you have answered, so never mind. Ten more seconds. Yeah. So, which of the following is not a special sense? Temperature. Okay. You have sense organs for taste, like your taste buds, aka your tongue, smell, your nose, and hearing, your ear, right? Okay, let's do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the malleus, incus, and stapes are found in your middle ear. Okay. So your inner ear is going to consist of 3 structures. You have your vestibule, your cochlea, and your semicircular canals. Okay. Your middle ear is going to consist of your auditory ossicles, malleus, incus, and stapes, and your eustachian tube. Jasmine.
That was a mistake.
Okay, no worries. And then your outer ear is going to be your auricle / pinna, so the visible part of your ear, that funnel, and your auditory canal, so your ear canal. And then your nose is not part of your ear, right? We'll do this one and then we will take a break. Ten more seconds. Yeah, so the organ of hearing is going to be your organ of Corti. Okay. Does anybody remember where the organ of Corti is found? Jasmine?
Hearing.
It is responsible for hearing, but what structure is it found inside of?
Snail-like thing.
The snail-like thing, yeah. The cochlea, right? So it's found inside of your cochlea. Okay. Your semicircular canals, these are going to be responsible for balance. Vestibule, also responsible for balance. Okay. Auditory ossicles, this is your malleus, incus, and stapes. Okay. So, all right, let me set up the timer and we will go on break. Right. And I will see you guys in 10 minutes. So getting back into it. Do like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the nerve responsible for the smell is going to be your olfactory nerve, right? So cranial nerve number 1. Optic nerve, we've already talked about. Vision. Vestibulocochlear. Hearing and balance. Ocular motor, eye movement. Okay.
Professor, the vestibular nerve. What a cranial nerve is that again?
8.
8. Thank you.
Yes. So taste buds, exactly. Responsible for taste, right? Ten more seconds. So semicircular canals are responsible for balance. Okay. So balance. Hearing, that is going to be your organ of Corti and your cochlea, which we've already talked about. Vision is going to be your eyes, taste buds, right? 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the white of your eye is going to be your sclera. Okay, sclera. Your cornea is going to be the clear extension at the front of the sclera. The annotations thing, whatever leveled. This is going to be what light passes through. Okay. Your retina, this is going to be where you find photoreceptors. And then your choroid is going to be your vascular middle layer. Okay. See who's listening. All right. 10 more seconds. Yeah, so photoreceptors are going to be found in the retina. Okay. We just said this. And then I already talked about all the other parts, so I'm not going to do it again. But so 10 more seconds. Yeah, so the photoreceptor found in the periphery of the retina, rods. Okay. Cones are found in the center. C for center. So C for center. Rods are found in the periphery, which means the sides.
Professor, what did you say about the rods?
The found in the periphery, so they're found on the sides of the retina.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, so the photoreceptor responsible for color vision, cones. C for center, C for color. Okay. C for center, C for color. Cones. Ten more seconds. Yeah. So in bright light, the pupil will contract. Okay. So the pupil is going to contract in bright light. Okay. So the reasoning behind this, right? When you walk into a bright room, right? If all of the light comes into your eye, your photoreceptors are going to get overwhelmed and you're going to see that bright white light. So you need to limit the amount of light that's coming into your eye. The way that you do that is to make the opening of the pupil smaller. If you were in a dark room, you'd want to let as much light in as possible. So that would make the pupil bigger. So it causes it to dilate. It's like 10 more seconds. Yeah. So another name for the eyelids is going to be your palpebrae. Okay. Your conjunctiva is going to be that clear membrane that covers your eyes. Brain that covers eyes. So like when you get conjunctivitis, right? It's going to be an inflammation of that conjunctiva. Tarso glands are going to be found in the thick part of your eyelid. Your lacrimal ducts, these are going to produce tears, right? Because lacrimal means tears, or well, lacrimal ducts carry tears more specifically, but it's involved in tears. Yeah. So which nerve controls eye movements? Oculomotor. Okay. Optic, again, vision. We've already talked about the optic nerve. We've already talked about the vestibulocochlear, I believe, but just for completion's sake, because this is my third time doing the PowerPoint, so we might not. Okay, vestibulocochlear, hearing and balance. Okay, that's going to be the one going to your ear. Trigeminal nerve, facial sensation, among other things. Okay, so I'm just going to write etc. Vestibulocochlear and trigeminal weren't in your packets, so don't stress about those. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so conjunctivitis and glaucoma. This is supposed to be a select all. Well, actually, what I was supposed to do is change eye to ear, but then I didn't do that. Okay, so the answer slide is wrong too. The answer slide says otitis media because I changed it to ear on the answer slide, but not on the question. So the correct answer to this one is conjunctivitis and glaucoma. Okay, to this question, to the eye. So conjunctivitis and glaucoma. Okay. I know you guys are probably getting sick of MCQs, but there are less from chapter 21 and 22. So we will get through it. So much practice. Good. I'm glad to hear. My first class, well, not my first one. I think it was actually in my second one. Somebody was like, "How many left?" I was like, "I don't know, like 10. You have your packets." All right, 10 more seconds. Yeah, so teeth are going to contribute to mechanical digestion. Okay, so they are going to be responsible for breaking things up. Chemical digestion, that is going to be like enzymes, right? Your teeth do not produce enzymes. Now, if this question said the mouth, right? Because the mouth has saliva in it, which has enzymes, and it has your teeth in it, which is going to do mechanical digestion. So if it said the mouth contributes to, it would be both. But since it just says teeth, teeth do not have enzymes. 10 more seconds. This is also supposed to be select all, but the stomach is going to contribute to both mechanical and chemical digestion. Oh, sorry, mechanical and chemical. Okay, because you're going to have the twisting and turning and churning, and you have your gastric juices working. Okay, so your stomach is contributing to both mechanical and chemical digestion. Yeah, so the part of the mouth that separates the nose from the nasal cavity, that is going to be your hard palate. Okay, your uvula, that's the thing that dangles the back of your throat. The lingual frenulum, that is going to be the piece underneath your tongue that anchors your tongue to the floor of the mouth. Okay, and then your tongue is your tongue. Ten more seconds. All right, so the structure that connects the oral cavity to the esophagus, that is going to be your pharynx. Okay. So your pharynx goes from your oral cavity and your nasal cavity, but you don't have food coming in. Okay. Food coming in your nose, in theory. So comes in, goes down your throat, right? Goes to your esophagus. The duodenum is going to be the first part of your small intestine. Okay. Your stomach is your stomach. Your trachea is part of your respiratory tract. So we briefly mentioned it when we talked about this transition from the pharynx to the esophagus, because you have this structure called your epiglottis that blocks food from entering here. Okay, but we haven't talked too much about the trachea yet. We'll get to it in chapter 18. Okay, it was just to have a distractor choice. So the correct answer was pharynx. 10 more seconds. Yeah, so peristalsis, right? The point is to move it down the esophagus. So it's like the toothpaste tube analogy. And so the whole point is to move it down that esophagus. Oblique and churning, those are going to be happening in your stomach. Okay. So the twisting and the churning, those are in your stomach. All right, that. Okay, circular contractions. These are also called segmentation. They're going to be happening in your small intestine. Okay, so they're going to be like chopping up the food. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so food is going to enter and leave the stomach through sphincters. Okay, sphincters, right? Sphincters are going to do two things, okay? As opposed to just holes. If you just had holes, stomach acid would be able to kind of like get out of the stomach. Okay, sphincters help keep the stomach acid inside of the stomach. The other thing is it helps ensure one-way flow of food. Okay, so make sure that doesn't like backtrack. Rugae are just going to be the folds inside the stomach. Okay, so folds inside of the stomach. And then the fundus is going to be the part of the stomach that loops back on itself. So that, then we have our stomach here, right? Whatever. This is the fundus here. So the part of the stomach that like loops back above where the esophagus comes in. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so when chyme leaves the stomach, it will enter the duodenum, right? It's that first part of the small intestine. Okay, this is going to be where most chemical digestion happens. Most chemical digestion. Okay. Then you have your jejunum. which is going to be the second part of the small intestine, where nutrient absorption happens. Okay, ileum, that is going to be the third part. This is going to be where like Peyer's patches are. So they serve like an immune function. That's all you really need to know about them. The cecum, that is going to be the first part of your large intestine. Okay. Ten more seconds. Yeah, so the jejunum, right? We just talked about it. So I just went over all these answer choices. So I'm not going to go over them again because we only have a little bit more time. I want to make sure I get through all the questions and at least one of my sections so I can post the recording. Ten more seconds. Yeah, so the contractions that occur in the small intestine that are ring-like contractions that break up food, mix it with digested juices, those are going to be segmentation. So we already talked about these, right? Those are going to be those circular contractions. So they do the like chopping thing. Peristalsis, that's going to be happening in the small intestine, but just like with the esophagus, the point of peristalsis is to like move things along. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Which structure stores bile? Gallbladder. Okay. Your liver is going to be producing. Okay. So producing bile. Okay. Your stomach is going to produce gastric juices. Your ascending colon, that is going to be part of your large intestine. Okay. So your gallbladder is going to be storing, liver produces it. So like 10 more seconds. Yeah. So the basal metabolic rate is going to be higher in males as opposed to females. Other factors that influence BMR. Body size. Okay. More muscle mass. More calories to maintain. And age. As you get older, muscle mass declines with age. Okay. I'm going to copy and paste this in chat for you guys because I know I'm going a little faster. We just have like 15 minutes left, so I want to try and get through all of them. Yeah, temperature can also increase it, but this is just like the ones that we specifically talked about. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so which of the following stimulates appetite? Ghrelin, okay? All the other ones are going to suppress it. Yeah, so macronutrients, those are going to be proteins, lipids, and carbs. Okay, so these are things that we need to take in large quantities of. Vitamins and minerals, those are called micronutrients because we do not need to take as many in, smaller amounts. What question was two? Of course, I closed out the packet. Hold on, let me find question two. Oh, which of the following stimulates appetite? It's ghrelin. Okay. So yeah, this is going to be true, right? Lipids will enable the absorption of certain vitamins. Roles of lipids, don't worry about. Okay. Oh, I forgot. There's 4 fat-soluble vitamins, right? A, D, E, and K. I'm going to type it in chat. Okay. A, D, E, and K. Like 10 more seconds. Yeah. So saturated fats come from animal sources. Okay. This is things like butter, lard. Okay. Unsaturated fats from vegetables. So like vegetable oil, corn syrup, stuff like that. Okay, I'm doing these last ones rapid fire so we can hopefully get through all of them. All right. So 10 more seconds. If you're not sure, just click into anything. Yeah, so all carbohydrates are going to get broken down into glucose. Okay. Glycogen is going to be the storage form of glucose. Sucrose and fructose, those are going to just be examples. So the important examples of carbohydrates. The most important one to know, glucose. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Yeah, so incomplete proteins do not contain all amino acids and are typically from plant sources. Okay, which makes sense, right? If you think about it, animals probably need a lot of the same proteins that we do. So makes sense that they have all the amino acids, that they have all the building blocks for the same proteins. Okay, 10 more seconds.
Professor, this is not in the packet, but it's going to be.
No, if it's not in, like, it's not in the question packet or it's not in like the review packet.
It's not in this exam 3 review packet.
If it's not in the exam 3 review packet, then it's like you don't have to worry about it. It's just that these are questions that I've recycled every semester.
Okay, thank you.
So fat soluble vitamins cannot be excreted in the urine because urine is mostly water. Okay. So in order for something to go out with water, it has to be water soluble. I don't know if this one's in the packet either. Honestly, I don't think this one is. Let me double check, but
Yes, it's in there.
okay. Ten more seconds. Oh, I don't see it in the review packet. So just leave it open for a second so that
It's number 8.
no, not like the questions. I mean like your exam review, like the open-end one, this one.
It's not.
Yeah. All right. But just for the sake of review, normal healthy adults are said to be in nitrogen balance. Okay. Negative nitrogen balance when the body's eating on itself. So like cancer, malnutrition. Positive nitrogen balance, periods of growth. And again, I'm going to send out the answer key to you guys. So it'll have all the rationales. We're so close. There's only like 2 or 3 more. Okay, like 10 more seconds. Yeah. So when the body temperature rises, blood vessels will dilate. Okay. This is going to bring the blood to the surface of the body so you can get rid of some of that heat. You're also going to start shivering not shivering, sorry. You're going to start sweating so that evaporation can get rid of some of that heat as well. Okay, 10 more seconds. Yeah. So lipase is going to break down fat. Amylase breaks down carbohydrates. Protease, proteins. Sucrase, sucrose. Last one. We made it. Yeah. Main hormone impaired in diabetes, insulin, right? Now you can have ketones produced if you're going through ketoacidosis, which would happen if you're rapidly metabolizing the fat, but that is not like a hormone. The hormone that is impaired is insulin. Ketones are like a side effect. Okay? All right. So that's all I have for you guys. Good luck studying for the weekend. If you have questions, shoot me an email. And I will see you on Monday.
All right, thank you. Good night.
Good night.